was a really, like, as a time in Cleveland where radio was huge there. I could be wrong, but this is growing up. This is what I heard about that. And they just always had a lot of great rock, and they had a lot of great rock and roll venues. Like I remember playing at the Grog Shop and
the Grog Shop,
the Odeon, and down in the Flats there was a big scene down there till like 2 guys died in the river, like drowned. And it was just so they closed the Flats, and a lot of Cleveland's been through some hard times, like a lot of American cities,
kind of trying to reconcile its past while find its future.
Yeah, totally. I think so. And my parents still live there in the outskirts. I never grew up in Cleveland proper, but we from the suburbs,
like Lake Erie.
Totally. I grew up by Menor Headlands.
Cool.
We would go there all the time and jump off the lighthouse and do stupid shit.
What did your parents do?
Can I say shit on here?
Of course. Okay.
Say
fuck, cunt, bitch.
I was listening to Howard Stern the whole way here.
Good. I don't have any like strippers.
No, it's cool. When are they not going to come, right? When are they going to be here?
Maybe later when I get a budget. What's up, Scores?
Exactly.
So, what did your parents do, man?
My dad was always a salesman. He sold shoes and furniture when I was growing up, and then a little bit later in my life, he got into selling like investments and stuff like that. So,
and what about your mother?
My mom was an accountant, did the books for him, and did the books for a couple other companies in Menor. And
so neither were artists.
No, not really. No. We just my grandfather was really into music, but that was an influence, but I wouldn't say that was like the driving influence for me to get into music. But when I started playing trumpet, in like 6th grade, around 7th or 8th grade, I was goofing off in class. And
you did the band thing?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, concert band. I was goofing off in concert band, and I basically was improvising. I didn't know that at the time, but I was like playing over the band, and I kept getting in trouble for it. So finally one of the day, the director, who was great, Tim Yole, took me into his office and asked me, he scolded me first, and and he was like, you should try this jazz program in the summertime. And when I tried that, I was just like, oh man, it taught me how to improvise and, to learn the blues and stuff like that. And then I was just really into it, and he gave me records, and I started booking shows at coffee houses with some of the other guys that were in that class, in 7th, 8th grade. And ever since then, I've always wanted to be a New York City musician.
Do you feel like since that summer program, was that what set you like, this is what I want to do?
Absolutely, man. I changed the whole course of everything. I feel like I was into skateboarding, I was into snowboarding, I was into NoFX and Nirvana, and like we were all into that kind of stuff, and I still am. But
Guar,
of course, I love rock and roll. That's a huge part of my influence.
Same.
But as soon as I started playing jazz, I really just focused on that, and kind of just like you spent every second trying to get better at that.
Yeah.
Even though many doors were just closing on me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like you just kind of like everyone was saying no, you can't do it. Not my parents, but teachers and things like that. It was just never really
the practicality of people in Cleveland. They don't know about the
right.
Yeah.
Are you going to go to college? What are you going to do? Are you going to go to college for music or whatever? I was last chair in jazz band in high school, like 10th grade, and I asked the band director. I said, "What do I have to do to get in the top jazz band?" And there was 2 jazz bands at the time, so
like a JV and a varsity.
Basically, I was like 8th chair in the jazz band, and he just said, "Nothing, you'll never be a jazz musician."
So he's a fucking asshole.
Basically, well, you can think of it that way, or the way that I took it was, he was an asshole. He made me cry, ruined my whole day.
Kind of that whiplash approach.
At first, but then at the end of the day, I went home to my parents, and thank God they were like, supportive, and they allowed me to transfer schools to a place where it would be a little more welcoming to me wanting to play music and be. So we did. So within a week, I was in another school. And I didn't get to play
because you knew that you were going to make that happen.
I knew that I wasn't going to. I didn't know what it was going to happen, but I knew that I wasn't going to get anywhere where I was.
Totally.
There was like 1,000 kids in my graduating class. Like it was gigantic. Menor Public High School.
Did you go to a performing arts or a music school?
No, it was just a public school.
Okay.
I went to public school my whole life until I transferred to this Notre Dame Cathedral Latin for halfway through 10th grade, 11th and 12th grade.
Got it.
So thank God, my parents had the means to let me go there, and
that's amazing.
And just give me the support and give me the extra outside lessons, and the drive. My dad would drive me to shows where I'd play with psychobilly bands or rockabilly back in like the mid '90s when that swing craze was really big. Like my dad would take me to the Grog Shop, drop me off. One time he dropped me off for sound check, and one of these guys, he was a Chet Baker impersonater. I was 14, mind you.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, you're playing trumpet." He didn't play trumpet. He wanted me to get up on stage. So I got up on stage. I said, "I would love to play a tune with you." We played, I forget what it was, one of the Chet Baker tunes, "I'd Fall in Love Too Easily" or something like that. And then after the thing, he gets off stage and he's like, "Hey, man, can you give me a hand with this second?" It's a grown man, and I'm 14.
Yeah.
He said, and I think because I'm naive, and he says, I think he needs help with gear. So he walks me back towards the bathroom, and then we get in the bathroom, and he says, watch the door. And then he starts pulling out his bag to shoot up.
No way.
Like the whole thing, like a spoon. And,
oh, my God.
And I had read Miles Davis' Autobiography. I had known what that was.
Yeah.
And I did not want to be anywhere near that bullshit.
Totally.
So I was just like, man, I can't do this. And I walked out and you know, and like then I sat in with him that night, and how terrible he sounded, and just like, he was great in the beginning of the day, and it was so cool. And then just the deterioration of it. By the time 10 o'clock came, it was just, I didn't tell my parents about that till like 30 years after.
No way.
Because they would have never let me go and do another gig again. But, you know, it was I played a lot of shows. I did a lot of cool things in Cleveland, and it afforded me the opportunity and lit a fire under my ass to want to get out there and work harder and do more things and get on the hustle. I guess that's the point of the story with the band director and getting into music.
And I'm curious, man, because I obviously the demographic of people that listen to the show are artists usually. Yeah. And for those that are struggling and do have knocks like that, how did you not get disillusioned by having a teacher tell you it'll never happen?
Oh, man, I'm not going to lie. You know, it hurts. And, you know, it was even harder when I moved to New York in the first, you know, but I think, you know, you either take it one or two ways. You either get butthurt and go cry about it, which you can do that too, but at the end of the day, at the end of the day, you got to make that decision for yourself to get back out there and get back on the horse and go harder, or you know, it's either oh my God, they're so right, or fuck them, I know who I am,
totally,
I'm gonna do what I want to do. You know what I mean? And that was always me, no matter what. Still, I always do what I want to do. I mean, not. I have kids. I have a daughter and a wife now, so I do what they want me to do. But as far as music and things like that, I try to, you know, cultivate things that I love to do, and then the things that I want to do, not bring negativity in. You know what I mean?
And you said you read Miles Davis' autobiography, but I'm curious because like it's so hard to describe this to people now, because you and I and Raul, my producer, encountered it, but for the generation that came after this, they don't know. Like, we didn't grow up with YouTube or Spotify. Right. So, like, if we wanted to discover music,
you're going to read a book, or
you read a book, or someone showed it to you, or you went to their show, like,
or liner notes, man. That's like that to me. Like, liner notes were like you buy a new record, you'd be like, listen. I'd read the liner notes while I listen to the record, like the first time, like, and that's just so lost. And that's why I think, you know, the Spotify is great, but it's also, you know, it's
there's
like
something beautiful.
It's our own beast. You know what I mean? It's like you know, technology is amazing, but it's like it's not quite human.
So who was curating Brian's playlist? Like, how were you discovering these artists? You know, of an old age.
I'm like, much teachers were given to me, like, you know what I mean, and then that just opened up a drive for me to go to the record store, and you know, and there was a lot of great record stores in Cleveland. You know, I would get vinyl, or I'd go to the used CDs for $1.
Yeah,
you get jazz, and you could ask the guy. You know, I would ask the record guy. I was like, hey, what's good? Or I would buy all the Miles. I'd buy whatever I could afford. I would just buy every week. I would go and spend money on records and just reading and learning. And, you know, it's like I would bring home like parental advisory, and my parents would like throw it out. But like then they buy me Miles Davis's book, and it's like motherfucker and sex and drugs. And you know what I mean? Like, so it didn't really do anything to, you know, but I learned a lot.
And then since we spoke about it, growing up with like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame there, like did that kind of have it instill an idea of like being able to do this?
It wasn't there until maybe like the last like 2 or 3 years of when I lived there.
Okay.
Like, I feel like I moved out of Cleveland in '99.
Okay.
And then I went to college in Cincinnati. But I feel like there was one. I remember we went down to, my dad had bought a brick, like donated a brick to put in like the.
Oh yeah.
So we went to go try and see it while they were building it. And I remember I had my Walkman, and I had a Metallica, the Black Album, in my Walkman, and it dropped, and the tape fell down. So somewhere underneath the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is my Metallica tape.
Way.
Yeah,
when you get inducted, you got to tell that story.
I don't know. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's so rad, man. So then you went to Cincinnati, and were you going to like a Berkeley equivalent?
Yeah, it was a conservatory, you know, and it was a great school. I went there to study with this guy, this trumpet teacher, Brad Good, and
that you sought out.
He had taught at some of the summer jazz camps in Cleveland. That was a big thing. Like in the summer times, I would go to play with, like, I don't know, they called it an all-star band or whatever. Like, it was like the city. There was one on the west side and one on the east side. So like the best of kids from those played in these big bands. And then, you go to summer camp and you'd have like Louis Belson or Kenny Garrett or like these special guests that would come. And Brad was one of the teachers. So I got to know him, and he asked me to go to, he invited me to go to Cincinnati and see the thing. And it was great. It was a great school. I felt at home when I got there, and it was a good run, man.
How many years did you graduate? Or
I did not graduate. Yeah. No, I didn't graduate. I left when Brad moved to Colorado.
Got it.
Yeah, but that's another thing. Like we get all the way to the end of the college thing, and like he's the only one that didn't pass me on my board to graduate.
No way.
So I was just like, it's another just like slam. You know what I mean? Where you're just like, I'm just like, okay, fine. Well, I'm going to New York.
Yeah. Why am I even
and
here?
You're leaving. You're going to teach in Colorado. So why do we even? Why would you fail me?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like albeit I was not the best student. But.
And in conservatory music, is that like 40 hours a week of just
playing? It's
like
5 days a week, 8 a.m. music theory, 9 a.m. music history, and then you would practice.
Do you like academia? Did you?
I was not a big fan of it. You know what I mean? I was a big fan of the musicians that were in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And like I was hanging out at night. There was a great club called the Blue Wisp Jazz Club, and it was just at the time they served minors, and it's long closed now. But I didn't know a lot of the stuff was going on there, but the musicians were incredible. It was like a lot of the guys that were on the road bands, and back in the day, and then they settled back in Cincinnati and came home.
Wow.
But they were just incredible, and that was where I learned. A lot of 90% of what I do today is like just from soaking it up from older guys that had done it and played the ghost shows.
Just being a sponge in that room.
Yeah, because I remember even some of the other teachers at college were like, upset with me that I was working so much, that I was out hanging and that I also had my own gigs. I always had a steady gig somewhere. I played at a coffee house the first year every Monday or Wednesday or something like that. And then when that dried up, they closed. I moved down the block. Like I've always tried to have. That's a big thing.
Survival.
Yeah, and a calling card. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like when you see people, you're just like, they're like, oh hey, what are you up to, man? Like you playing anywhere? You just be like, yeah, every Monday here, or like
I love that.
Every Tuesday, every Thursday at the Gramercy Park Hotel.
Yeah.
So I say that a million times. You know what I mean? Like that always having that place. So that even someone that sees you 6 months ago, or you read on the street 6 months ago, says you're here, they finally show up, or they tell their friends about it, or it's all word of mouth. Even with the internet today, you still
need that component.
Yeah, you need that word of mouth, man. You need somebody to say that it's good, not like an anonymous comment.
Foot soldiers.
Totally, man, totally.
And so then you get in that car. Was it a movie scene? You just packed your bags and you're going to New York. You knew no one.
I rented a U-Haul. I was dating a girl at the time. We moved up together.
Wow.
Not the smartest move, but I needed a roommate.
Yeah.
I don't know if I thought about it at the time. I think I was young and stupid.
So this is like 2000, 2001?
2003.
2003.
2003. We moved here in the summertime. I got here in July.
Wow.
Like $500 in a U-Haul.
Where did you? What neighborhood?
I lived on Flushing and Knoll in Bushwick.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a rough neighborhood.
Back when then. Bushwick was Bushwick, not artisanal mayonnaise.
Yeah. That's funny, man. Sam Mason owns. My buddy Sam Mason started that. Oh, it's so funny.
That's amazing.
Yeah, we moved there. I was there. It was $1,100 for a 2-bedroom.
Wow. Even now, that still is pretty expensive, and I'm sure if you inflated
it was expensive then. I mean, for me, I was like, I don't know how the hell I'm going to make this rent. And so
did you have a lump sum you came with?
Or? I came with $500, so I know I needed to make, and I had first and last security deposit paid, so I had that money saved. I got some money from my parents, and but not money really to spend there. I had money. They helped me out with the rent for a little bit. For those first 3 months or whatever. I mean, for the first and last security deposit.
Yeah.
Anyway, so like I just started beating the street. It was August or July, and I remember just getting my suit on and walking to every restaurant. Well, I walked around the city for like 2 weeks. Wow. I didn't have a resume. You know what I mean? I just tried to get any job.
Yeah.
I worked in restaurants. I worked at this place called Agave and the West Village, and
that made it a long time.
It's still there.
I
think it's still there. But I worked there because it was. I mean, I took it. I took it. I would have taken anything, but it was in the heart of the jazz community in West Village at the time, and there's a lot of those clubs are still there, but they were different.
What's that iconic one? That's
Smalls.
Right? Yeah.
But that was still BYOB when I moved here. So you would go there, pay $10, and you could bring a 6-pack, and you didn't have to be 21.
Yeah.
I was 21 at the time, but we'd been there a lot, and it was just, and that was cool for me to be in that neighborhood. But yeah, just that hustle, man. And then I worked at a moving company. I worked for a film car company. I've done every single.
Because you knew you had to.
I was a back waiter. I did. I worked in restaurants. I was a general manager just a regular manager at a steakhouse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was just crazy.
And then your life started to change. You got a job at St. Jerome's,
I got a job at St. Jerome's.
Which was like kind of like the lit lounge of the Lower East Side.
Yeah, it was a place that I was hanging out at a lot.
Oh,
and,
wow.
And my friend Drew Mendenhall worked there. He was from Menor, and we had grew up playing jazz together, and he told me about this bar that he was working at, and I started going down there. Well, I was at the time I was managing at BLT Prime, which is now closed. And I would always go down there in a suit, and I was always the guy in the suit, but I was also always partying my ass off.
Yeah.
And just got to know everybody down there. And Gaga was the
Lady Gaga.
she was the go-go dancer, and
Stephanie was her.
Stephanie. Yeah, Stephanie. I call Stephanie, but
I went
Lady
to
Gaga
NYU,
was her
so
stage. Yeah, but it was her stage name.
Yeah,
so her and Lady Starlight would DJ and go-go dance, and I was a bartender. I was just hanging out at the time, and then when I was putting in my 2 weeks at the BLT Prime, my buddy down there called me and asked me if I wanted a job there on Sundays, so I took that. And
just one shift a week?
One shift a week, and then I quit the other job, and then I was playing some gigs, but I wasn't making, $100 a night, $50 a night playing
Not
gigs.
that Rose Bar money.
Well, yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
But no, it was a struggle for a long time in New York City. It was definitely like always waiting for rent, or trying to. I've sold trumpets, you know what I mean, donated blood, like just really like I've done everything to stay in this city, without having to,
donate your kidneys on the black market.
Yeah. Exactly.
But you would have. So how did you stay, like in the creative field while, doing these things that weren't fulfilling you creatively? Like obviously when you live in New York City, most people have to work a 40-hour week job doing something they don't love in order to pursue what it is they do love.
Yeah.
I bartend on Broadway. You had all those.
Yeah.
How did you stay like inspired, I guess is.
Oh man, it was dark times sometimes. I'm not gonna lie. It wasn't like I drank a lot sometimes. There's definitely points where I wasn't playing and I was like just working at the restaurant and like I wasn't getting calls for things. There was nothing on Craigslist. You know what I mean? There was like just you get beat down, man. But like I was. I had to pull myself out of that. Was there
coffee shop equivalents here? I know now you have Rose Bar, but then did you have anywhere?
I played at Jules Bistro. I had a Sunday brunch there, but I would leave there at 3. And go to be at bartend at BLT Fish on 17th Street by 3:30 every Sunday. So I'd play like 1 to 3:30, and I remember we lost that gig because the guys that were in the band would stay while I was gone and kept drinking, and they like ended up fucking the gig for us. So I lost that gig. That was my first gig in New York, and then I was playing played with a 10-piece hip hop band for a while. I played klezmer gigs. I played weddings bands. I took anything. I would literally take any gig that you would give me. I didn't care. You know what I mean? Like I just wanted to be out there meeting people. I played with DJs. I hated that. That's
I'm sure it's awful.
It's like I don't know why people do
at like
do
nightclubs or
nightclubs like late night. Like we played like Cielo and like I played some hip clubs. I remember there being like back in the day when it was still like no social media and like it was like still celebrities like getting fucked up and
doing
like
blow.
like crazy stuff like that. Like I've seen some nutty shit in those clubs, but I just would do anything, and then but I always wanted to be here, and I knew I couldn't give up. You know, and I still feel the same way. You can't give up. Even though I have a family to feed now, it's more about them than it is me now. But it's still, I still have a lot of work to go, and I want to do lots more shit. Lots more stuff.
And so then, as you're working at St. Jerome's, that place ended up closing, but it wasn't. When was Lady Gaga's first record? That was like 2007. I moved here in 2008. Right? That was about the time.
I'm not sure when it was. Yeah, but it was around that time.
When she has that kind of success and it's one of your closest friends, did that set you on? That can go two ways. When I'm an actor and I see friends that make it can be like, fuck. Yeah. Or it can be like, keep going. Yeah. Blinders.
Yeah. I mean, she was in LA, so we didn't see her for a while.
Oh, wow.
So it wasn't really like right, you know what I mean? Right away we started working together again. Like she came back one point and late night asked me if I wanted to do the Today Show with her. And of course I said yes. And then I didn't hear anything about it. So I didn't know it was happening or not. And then, then that was the first. She's always good on her word. And even now today, like everything, I've never asked her for anything, but every time she asked me to do something, it happens. You know what I mean? So it's like, that was the beginning of not the friendship, but the musical friendship.
Yeah.
And, because she had come down and sat in with me at the Duane Park when I was playing down there, and she sat in there for the first time, and I think it's the first time she really heard us because we had only known each other I saw her at the Slipper Room a couple times. We went to we played a couple clubs that we went to right when she was trying to get the record deal.
Yeah.
She was always amazing. You know what I mean? But we didn't know each other in that musical way. You know what I mean? Like, so then
the camaraderie was built later. Musically.
Yeah, totally. We were friends.
Yeah.
And, so she started sitting in with us. She would come down and hang out every once in a while. Once every couple of months, would come to New York and come to the Oak Room or the Duane Park Rose Bar. She's been there a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Now Vegas.
Every time I miss it. What the fuck?
I know. I can't promote it.
Yeah, I
It'd be
know.
crazy down there.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
But yeah, it just kind of blossomed from there, and then that all turned into me.
So at what point did you form your band? Like you said, you had 3 people at one point. Now you're up to 7.
Yeah.
When did the band start, or the idea at least, to like, I got to start a band?
The piano. I've always been loyal and tried to have my own. I mean, not tried. I've always had my own band. Like I've always been our piano player Alex Smith and Steve Cortica.
What up, Alex?
The tenor player. Yeah, Alex and Steve.
Yeah.
I've been playing with them since '99. We met in college.
No way.
We kind of moved to New York at different times, but we had always, me and Steve had always had a great connection, and me and Alex had always, we had a great connection musically. We kind of drifted apart, but when we came back to New York, it was me and Alex playing duo gigs. We played at Agave, we played a brunch there. Amazing. I got a gig there while I was waitering there. And just hustling, man. You know what I mean? Just getting out there. But yeah, so Steve and Alex are still in the band. We had a great drummer, Nolan Bird, who's been with us about a year, and Daniel Foose on bass has been with us about 3 or 4 years. So, we've had some changes, some personnel changes over the years that have been tough, but some more tough than others. You know what I mean?
Totally.
So
when did the switch happen from you having to do all these survival jobs to like, I can just do
full-time?
music to or start to happen?
Yeah.
Was it a gradual thing, or did it?
It was kind of like when we started having, we were at the Oak Room on Wednesdays, and
how did that come together?
That came my friend Ronnie Agrone. He was a bartender at BLT Steak, and then we were managers together at BLT Prime, and then he moved to the Oak Room. He was a bartender there, and the chef was looking for music, and he called me. So that was like
oddly, these hospitality jobs helped the music.
I mean, and honestly, man, I'm just a glorified bartender. I don't think
man.
No, for real, man.
I get it.
For real, there's nothing different than me and then hospitality with me playing music and being behind a bar. I really don't see any difference.
I appreciate
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's honestly, it's like the bar thing. When I had to stop doing the bar, I still was doing shifts all the time.
Yeah.
Like it would still do Wednesdays.
I imagine it's hard to let go of, especially building
Wednesdays,
that.
Fridays, and Saturdays I would bartend, and just to cover and make some cash because I wasn't making enough. I mean, Oak Room didn't pay. Oak Room paid $350, and we had 3 guys in the band.
Honor to kind of play.
We played there, we didn't have all the gigs were still paying the same. It's a problem for musicians still because still the gigs only pay a certain amount.
There's a cap.
For sidemen, there's a cap on that, and in New York it's really tough. Anyway, I forget what I was saying.
But so you get the Oak Room gig, and did that open a world up musically?
Totally. And that's the same thing too. It's like when we were talking about having a place to play all the time.
Yeah.
It's like I would get my business card out every day,
right.
every time we were playing there, and then 1 out of every 10 or 1 every 100 people would book me for a private party,
right? And
that
there's some
was
heavy hitters coming through there. I mean, that's like
and
old
it was
New York.
good, man. It was cool like that, and even at other places, it's just all about networking and meeting people and just getting yourself out there in a positive way.
Yeah.
We didn't have to change the content ever.
And throughout all these years, were you always writing music?
I always try to. You
know
what I mean? We play mostly other people's music. We write arrangements. You know what I mean? The band and I write certain arrangements on older songs. And,
Got it.
And we kind of change the vibe a little bit. But yeah, I love writing tunes, man. It's been a little harder lately. I haven't had time to really buckle down. We've been playing so much, but I love that. I love writing music.
So talk to me about Eyes on the City. I mean, I imagine you had things before that, but those are the things that I can access online.
Yeah.
So how did this come together?
Eyes on the City we did a live record at the Oak Room the last night they were ever open.
Wow.
And that was called Live in New York City. And then a couple years later we made another album with Dave Bennett at Avatar, and it was just great. We had all these great songs. Tommy London wrote a lot of the songs for it. We had a couple of mine on there. It was just and the arrangements from the band were just good. I'm real. I love that record. That's a great record.
It is a great record.
Oh, yeah, thank you, man.
And how is it navigating like the jazz? You know, it's hard enough to be a rock and roll.
Yeah.
You know, like how are you finding? You know, especially with like majors and indies. Like what was the terrain like navigating that? Getting publishing and did you do it yourself at first? Because like
we did that ourselves at first. Yeah, for Eyes on the City was not on a label, so we did that. I did that on CD Baby, and you know what I mean. And the thing is, nobody's really listening to CDs like we were talking about earlier, Spotify and stuff like that. So now it's like something to sell when we're like playing in Vienna, Virginia, or playing in
the Wolf Trap.
Or like we're playing somewhere like that, or we're in Delaware, or or in Vegas, so we can sell CDs. But that's the place where we really sell. I don't sell much online anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not that market.
No,
it's crazy.
Spotify's taken over that.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, and do you feel like in some ways that's kind of been good for musicians, or it's been kind of a bad, that whole, because there's so much access now that a lot of the good stuff I feel like can get diluted down just because of the volume.
I think so too. I think so too, but people say that too, but I think there's always been that level of like bubblegum music in our industry.
Right.
So it's like no matter what year, like every generation is going to say that about the last generation.
Totally.
So it's like
it makes you sound old bitter.
Yeah, kind of. So listen, there's room for everybody. I think Spotify has changed the game. It's made it easier to listen to music. I fucking love it. I can listen to whatever I want to listen to whenever. You know what I mean? And like I don't have to have any my CD book with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that makes it that good. But as far as selling,
brought me back to high school.
As far as selling records, I don't know how much the record companies are doing anymore. You know what I mean? Especially with jazz, and that's why I don't really care for the word. I don't really know the genre. It's like it's something that's been pigeonholed. It's something that's like they put jazz like I don't know. Jazz musicians are so cliquey and it's just. I never felt at home in the jazz community, really. I just always felt like a little bit on the outside of it, and that really just, not that it rubbed me the wrong way, but I just felt like that the music's not it's for the people that you're making it for. It's not for you.
Totally.
Once something gets turned into art, you're artifying. I know it's not a word. You're artifying it or whatever you want to call it. It's not. It takes away the I don't know how to describe it. It's just I'd rather
authenticity of it.
Yeah, I guess that's just because it's like you're once and that happened a long time ago. I feel like a lot of musicians, you shoot yourself in the foot. You're not playing for your audience. You're not playing for any audience. You know what I mean? It's probably why you don't have one.
Yeah.
It's like you need to. You can be yourself. You don't have to change the content, but you just have to put it out there in a way that resonates with people.
That makes total sense. And so then as the plaza is closing down for renovations, and then you get this downtown gig at the Gramercy Park Hotel.
Yeah.
For those that don't live in New York, you're moving from Midtown East or Upper East Side to Gramercy, which is sort of downtown.
Yeah, hipper. Definitely
how did that change your career in some ways, getting exposure to this kind of new demographic?
Oh, I loved it. It was closer to where my friends lived. So like a Lower East Side was close, so we started getting a lot more
friends finally started to come
rock
to shows.
And roller. Yeah, they did it. They did it at the Rose Bar, but it was they did it at the Plaza, but it was like a special occasion.
Right, because you have to kind of suit up to get there.
Yeah, and back then, like half of my friends didn't go above Houston Street. You know what I mean? It's like it's
World ends at 14th Street.
Did. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
So what was that like? Because back in 2011, for those that don't know, because like you and I know, and it sounds pretentious, and it is, but like Rose Bar back in 2011 was like that was the closest I had ever experienced like a Studio 54 kind of vibe.
Oh yeah, it was a fun place.
It was insane.
Yeah,
the people just coming through there. You'd see like Brad, it would just be.
Yeah.
What was it like being in that environment and having a residency 2 nights a week?
It was cool, man. It was an honor. It was our first real big gig in New York. You know what I mean? It was for our first like opportunity that I could seize. You know what I mean? And it took time. It took a good 5 or 6 months to get that place busy. You know what I mean? And now it's busy every Tuesday and Thursday.
God, yeah.
But that took time. It took work, and it still takes work. I still have to post about it. I still got to tell people where I'm at. I still respond to all my DMs. People say, because now we're all over the place. People always texting me like, "Hey, you at Rose Bar tonight?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm here." I'm there. Come down. I'm not. I don't live in Vegas. People think I live in Las Vegas. You know?
Well, talk to me about that, because you have this amazing show in Vegas or
That's
residency.
fun, man. Yeah,
Brian Newman After Dark.
Thanks, man.
But there's always that saying: if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere.
Yeah,
which is true.
Yeah,
and you did make it.
Mm-hmm.
Then I feel like Vegas is another level of making it. What does it feel like to like?
Oh man, you know what I feel like in Vegas? In New York, I feel like I'm in the batter's box swinging with like 3 rings on my bat.
Yeah.
When I get to Vegas, I feel like I'm swinging like a like a fucking toothpick. I've always had, illusions. I don't know, illusions are what my thoughts of what Las Vegas was back in the day, and to be able to bring that show, a kind of show like that back in a modern traditional way,
totally
is just a dream come true. It's an honor to be there, and we've had such great special guests. We've had Ashanti, we've had Gaga, of course. We've had,
because she had a residency. You were doing some of her shows.
Well, I'm on the bandleader for Lady Gaga's Jazz Orchestra in Las Vegas.
Got it. Is that still reoccurring?
Yeah, we have 5 more shows before the end of May.
I got to come to one of those.
Those are really fun. It's a 30-piece orchestra made up some of the best musicians on the West Coast.
Did you get to curate some?
I did, yeah.
Wow, what was that like?
It's amazing. Well, I knew a lot of the guys, because we had played in Vegas a couple times before, and worked with other orchestras. So I had known kind of who I had wanted. Yeah. So what I just got together with some of my favorite of those musicians that I liked, and picked their brains and who they like to play with. Because as much as it is for me, being with guys in a band that I want to be with, because it's my quintet in Las Vegas plus 25 other musicians. It's still my band, and then Lady Gaga. So it's like, and our band arranges all the music for that. So it's like, we were writing parts for 30 people, what I mean, 31 including the lady. So it's amazing, man. It's an honor, and to be able to get our favorite style of music, balls to the wall in Las Vegas for a 6,000 seat auditorium. That like certain songs, man. And she gets standing ovations like 4 or 5 times a night.
I bet.
And you can hear a pin drop. Like she's singing about she's one of the most beautiful singers and musicians, and
I mean, it's
just humans. And I'm not just saying that because
I think the whole world. I mean, that's like, so much of music is subjective, but I feel like her talent is objective. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Oh man,
just like the same with you, man.
Oh man, well, I don't know about that.
And then talk to me about Showboat. When did the idea for that? Because the other one, Eyes in the City, is a bit shorter.
Yeah, so Showboat was an opportunity, a great opportunity that we had with Verve Records. Danny Bennett, who's Tony Bennett's son, and Dave Bennett, who's Tony Bennett's other son, recorded Eyes on the City.
Wow. Did you do that at Electric Lady?
No, we did it at, where did we do it? At both of the, Cheek to Cheek and Eyes on the City were recorded at Avatar, which is now what's it called? I forget what it's called. Boston University. I think Berkeley bought it. It's in Manhattan. It's in Manhattan. The Hit Factory. That's not it. It's not the Hit Factory. Anyway. So Danny had told me that he had just gotten the job with Verve Records, and he wanted to sign me to Verve and do a record there. So of course I would say I'd jump on the chance to do that because it's a legendary label, and to be with a major label, I thought was going to be a good thing.
And what was that experience like for you? I mean, you don't have to name.
No, it was amazing, man. I mean, from start to finish. I mean, I think a lot of the problems with the record companies too is that, and in my experience, it's like they have a certain ideal for you, but maybe that's not really what you were doing in the first place. You know what I mean?
Going back to the authenticity.
And I love Dave Bennett. We made the record that we wanted to make, and I couldn't have done that without him. Without him, I feel like and without Danny and him and the people at Verve that knew me, we wouldn't have, that record would have been totally different.
Right.
So fast forward, and it was just a great opportunity, man.
Yeah.
Everybody I met there was amazing. The team is amazing there, but you never know. And sometimes it just doesn't work out.
Yeah.
So we're back to we just cut another. We did 2 days in the studio. We recorded 18 tracks, so maybe 2 records, maybe 1 record. We'll see.
Wow.
We'll see what happens.
Amazing, man.
Yeah.
Whoever put Showboat out, is that who's going to put this out?
No more Verve. So we're free agents.
Amazing.
Free agents. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. There's been some talks with some other labels, but I'm not sure if we wouldn't even need to go that route.
Yeah, I don't think you do. Why would you?
At this point, you can put it on Spotify yourself. Enough people
why
do
cut
it.
the man in?
The only thing that and I know this is for people that are we're talking to people that are in the business. So the only thing that is good about having a label is what a musician can afford is marketing, PR. Those are 2 huge things that a label will provide that would cost a normal person up to 30 grand a month,
totally.
Or 10 grand, 15. It could cost as much as you want to spend.
Yeah.
And nothing's guaranteed, but at least when you're with a label, it's not necessarily your money.
Totally. And then as a jazz musician, what's it like going from doing these amazing covers covers and rearrangements to doing your own original material? Is that something you oscillate between at Gramercy? Like, do you always try to get the hits in and then your tunes, the originals?
We try to just mix them in because they're they're all kind of in the same style, the same vein of what we normally do. It's just that kind of, I call it like New York rock jazz.
Totally.
And like I said, I don't like the word jazz really, but what else are you going to call it?
Yeah,
it's improvisational. It's gritty. It's rock and roll.
And to this day, are you guys always kind of creating an improv?
Yeah,
wow,
totally. So and we totally, and when we have rehearsals.
And I imagine that you talked about how you've had a lot of band members be with you for X amount of time. I imagine that takes a degree of trust.
Oh yeah, but it makes the band so much tighter. Like,
totally,
the band right now is the best incantation of the band that we've ever had. And it's just like I've never been happier with not only the playing but just the mindset of everybody and just the friendship and the camaraderie and just the what we can bring to people. What we can do, and we're having fun doing the things that we get to do.
And then what was it like doing the Stars Born song on that soundtrack? You did La Vie en Rose, right?
That was crazy though, because we recorded that in New York with it's just all of a sudden it's just a masterpiece.
No way. Are you like anywhere connected to this? Like, do you ever just be like, sit back and be like, that's pretty cool? Or are you still
no? Because
like,
I just want to do more. You know what I mean? Like I'm never really. I'm excited about it. I'm glad that we're doing the things that we're doing, but I'm always kind of looking
to the next thing.
I'm kind of reading ahead.
And then like the Grammys were 2 weeks ago, and your commercial came out.
That was great too. That's the room we play the Vegas. That's our own Vegas residency. That's the Nomad restaurant.
Yeah.
So that's a. Man, the room is perfect, man. Wow. It's perfect. And the food is great. The atmosphere, the drinks, it's really just a killer spot.
So what's inspiring you now, brother? I mean, you said you got this new record you might be working on. What's keeping you going? What is keeping that momentum from you ever being like, I'm bona fide? You know what I mean?
I feel
like a lot of people would be in your position.
Just never stopping, man. I don't know. I don't stop. It's like I have a couple days off, maybe one day off a week. You know what I mean? Sunday, I put in a new water pump in my Thunderbird yesterday. That was a fun day for me. I took the day off. I still got grease all over my. I had to scrub with a toothbrush and pumice stone before I got here. But I love working on my old. I love working on that. I love listening to music.
Do you feel like being a father and being a husband has created a drive that's like, okay, I've got two other humans I got to account for.
Totally, and you know what? And my wife Angie Pontani, she's
an artist as well.
She's a incredible burlesque dancer and a producer and just always has great advice for me. Always listens to me, puts up with my bullshit.
Amazing.
Keeps me in check. So I think maybe that's why. I think if I was single and maybe all this was happening, I would have a bigger head. But because I have a Jersey Italian wife from New Jersey,
that's amazing.
Yeah, I'm just pretty humble.
I love that.
I'm constantly humbled, Ryan.
That's amazing, man. And for the artists out there that are struggling, because now it's tough for people to. In 2020, just to move to New York City with $500. I mean, I don't want to say it can't be done,
I think you need more, or you living in like deep Queens, like
or East New York or Long Island,
somewhere you don't want to be.
Like for those people that are living in, I grew up in Richmond, you grew up in Cleveland, and they do have those dreams. What advice would you give them?
You got to go for it, man. Yeah. I don't think there's any other. If you feel it in your heart, there's no one that can stop you.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, and like. It took me 8 years to work full time as a musician in New York City. So like that's not. I've been here since 2003. So 7-8 years I was not doing music full time.
Yeah.
So that's like the sands of time have run out at some point. You know what I mean? Like,
and the amazing thing about your stories, it sounds like so much of what came your way was because of those other things.
Yeah.
And the people you met there.
Totally. Yeah. And it was the way that I handled those things.
With Lady Gaga, with the Plaza and the Oak Room.
Totally. And even with my other jobs, it's like even when you're working in New York, like I gotta. This is a good anecdote. I was a busboy at a restaurant, and a fancy restaurant. They just opened, and
can
you
name it?
Yeah, BLT Fish.
Oh,
they're
okay.
closed.
Oh,
but
okay.
I remember I was just depressed, man.
Yeah.
And I was working, and I was like, fuck this fucking and I was like, I threw a dish in the
pit.
Yeah. Like in the like not at the dishwasher.
Yeah.
I'm always nice to people, you know what I mean? But and like one of the managers saw me and he took me downstairs and just like yelled at me. He was just like, "You gonna be here or you're not gonna be here?" It was like, because you can leave. If you're gonna be here, you're gonna work.
Yeah.
And I can't remember exactly what he said, but after that I went back upstairs and it was just like, and he was right. You know what I mean? And I had lost my Cleveland attitude of no matter what you do, you be the best at. You can be at it. If I'm gonna be a busboy, I'm gonna be the best goddamn busboy. If I'm gonna be a waiter, I'm gonna be the best that I can. You know what I mean? I'm gonna try my hardest. I'm gonna meet people, give my business card out.
Yeah.
Talk it.
Stay positive.
Stay positive and just be there.
Because people can sense negative. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
totally.
We've all had that cunny waiter being like, "What the fuck's this guy's?"
Yeah, maybe her boyfriend broke up with her that day, and you don't know. Yeah.
That's
the same thing when somebody's laying on the horn and you're in the car.
Yeah.
You're just like, shit, maybe his wife's not maybe his wife's leaving him, or you know what I mean, or like you never know what's going on in someone else's head and what's going on in their day. So it's hard to I don't know. That was a wake up call and a reminder from how I used to be and how my parents had raised me. And Cleveland and I'm sure Richmond is the same as that tough like blue collar.
For
like,
sure.
Like you pull yourself up. There's nobody's gonna give you shit.
Yeah.
And nobody.
Why we start podcasts?
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing, man. Well, Brian. So you got Tuesdays and Thursdays at Gramercy Park Hotel here in New York City at 21st and Lex.
Yeah.
You have Saturdays at Fire and Rare.
Fine and Rare. Yeah.
Fine and Rare.
Right at 37th Street between 5th and Madison, right over here.
I got to check that out. And then where else can people catch you in Vegas so I can give
We'll be in Vegas in February. We'll be in LA soon. That's being announced pretty soon.
Amazing.
Maybe by the time this podcast is live. We're not live now, are we?
No.
Okay.
Actually, Lady Gaga's in there.
She's in there. Come on in, babe. Tony Bennett's here too. So we'll be there in Vegas, LA. Everything's on my website, briannewman.com.
briannewman.com.
Yeah.
And then parting words, any advice, any things that are inspiring you, any funny, for those listening out there that want to be Brian Newman or want to be in Brian Newman's band, and
be a doctor, do something else. No.
So true.
Yeah. You make more money.
All right. Well,
no,
dude.
but I think just don't give up and be true to yourself. You don't have to change things about whether you're selling, whatever your passions are. You can be true to yourself and still make it good. You can make it happen as long as you're a good person.
Be relentless in the best sense of the term.
and relentless and humble and remember to always stay like that.
That's what I love about your story is how humbled you say.
I just don't think everyone that I've ever met that like is a superstar. A superstar has no hint of ego. I mean, maybe there's ego, but they're not going to be mean to someone. They're not going to talk down to someone. They're not going to, people like that don't last long in the industry. And it's just like, it's just there's no point in it. You just got to be yourself. There's room for everyone in this world.
Are you still? I know you often write songs of Lady Gaga's with her. Are you still doing that?
Yeah, we do arrangements with her. Yeah, for sure. For a lot of for the jazz performances in Vegas. Yeah.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah, we did. There was a record on the Showboat. Please don't let me be misunderstood.
Yeah.
That's not one of our songs. That's a Nina Simone song written by the Animals, the Classics 5.
I saw it had like 2 million streams.
Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah. I'm glad that I'm very honored that she came and did that song with us.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well,
we may have a few more in the books. You never know.
Yeah. Well, dude, we'll have to have you back when the next record comes out. I usually like to end music segments with a piece of the musician's work.
Yeah.
Is there a song that you think would be fitting to play right now?
Oh, man. I like that Jockey Full of Bourbon.
Jockey Full of Bourbon?
Yeah.
All right. Here it is. Jockey Full of Bourbon by Brian Newman.
Nice, bro. Nice, man. That was